Jamaica's history is intertwined with the cruelty of the transatlantic slave trade. Today, we explore the lives of three of the most notorious slave owners who ruled their plantations with brutality, forever scarring the land and its people. Thomas Thistlewood arrived in Jamaica in 1750 and soon became one of the island's most infamous slave owners. He owned Breadnut Island Pen in Westmoreland Parish, but he is more remembered for the horrific punishments he inflicted on enslaved Africans. His diary, kept meticulously for over 37 years, reveals chilling details of his sadistic practices. One of the most grotesque punishments he devised was called Darby's dose, where enslaved individuals were forced to defecate into the mouths of others. Thistlewood's cruelty knew no limits. His behavior reflected a sadistic desire to control, humiliate, and dehumanize those under his power. His actions still haunt the history of Westmoreland. John Gladstone, one of the wealthiest and most influential men in the British Empire, owned several Jamaican plantations, including the estates of Belmont and Success. While he was based in Britain, his power stretched across the Atlantic, where his plantations were infamous for their harsh conditions. Gladstone's overseers enforced brutal working hours and harsh punishments on enslaved Africans, who labored under extreme conditions. Even when Britain was moving towards abolition, Gladstone fought viciously to keep slavery alive, pushing back against reforms to protect his vast wealth. His wealth, gained through the exploitation of enslaved Africans, financed his family's rise to power and influence in Britain, but his plantations in Jamaica remained symbols of greed and cruelty. Louis Hutchinson, known as the Mad Doctor, was one of the most violent and feared slave owners in Jamaica's history. He owned Edinburgh Castle, a plantation in Clarendon, and his cruelty extended far beyond the treatment of enslaved people. Hutchinson was a sadistic murderer who terrorized both the enslaved and free people alike. He was known to hunt runaway slaves for sport, killing them without hesitation. His castle was reportedly filled with human remains, and his reign of terror finally ended when he was captured and executed in 1773. Hutchinson's sadistic behavior was rooted in a thirst for power and control, taking pleasure in the suffering of others. Even by the standards of the time, his actions were considered monstrous, making him one of the most reviled figures in Jamaican history. The legacies of Thistlewood, Gladstone, and Hutchinson are a reminder of Jamaica's painful past. But the resilience of those who endured slavery shines through in the culture, strength, and spirit of the Jamaican people today. May we never forget, and may we continue to honor the fight for freedom and justice.